today. So this is V7.5 software I'm using. Usually use V8 to flash. You pull the file, you can tune with V8. I just don't like the way that the stuff laid out. But anyways, this is the calibration permissions if you want to lock the file. History, modifications, and then this is where you would apply your DSP5. You'd click here and then file, save it as DSP5 something or other, and then close it out and then open it back up, and then this would all be populated. Anyways, we'll get right to it. So the first thing you want to do is come in down here and go to your boost control. Max boost pressure 255. This table's already set, it's already maxed out, so I really don't know if this is a torque limiting table or not, but I just max it out. Idle, there's really no reason to go in there unless you live in a really cold climate. You could idle it up a little bit. Your MAF, you could set this up to 500, if you needed to, if you had a big turbo and stuff like that, but really there's no reason to touch it unless you have big injectors, a big CP3 or twins and a big turbo. So I just leave that alone. And then you have your fuel injection, main injection, pilot, timing base, all this stuff. I'm not going to open it here. Throttle base injection timing. Anyways, go down here to main injection fuel quantity warm. Where is it cold? This one should be set at 120. So if it isn't, just set it to 120 across the board. I'll show you the main injection pulse at a different table. I don't want to show you this one in here. Same thing here. A is your high. So this is high altitude. B would be mid altitude and C would be low altitude. So at sea level, you would be at C and C probably up to 2,000 or 3,000 feet. And then over that, you would go to the B table. And then you would start at the A table at like 8,000 or 9,000 feet, something like that. I'd have to go in and look at the maps, but you want to adjust all of these for whatever you're doing. Injection timing max. So this has 30 degrees in it here. I know some people run 31 degrees in these engines. There's really no reason to go above. You want to add your timing up top, because if you don't, you start adding 30 degrees down here. Not in this table, but the actual timing table. You start adding 30 degrees, it will, you're going to knock the rod bearings out of the engine. It's going to spin up too fast. You want to have some momentum in the engine before you start adding timing. Anyways, we'll go over some more tables up here in this other section of the timing, but you shouldn't have to touch any of that. Peak torque, here you want to just max this out. There's no effects of maxing it out. Brake torque, you can probably max those out, and you can max all of these out if you wanted to. Torque limited, this is your defueling table. So if you want to defuel your shifts in your transmission, obviously you should be, if you don't have a built trans, but even with a built trans, you should be defueling. And then you have your peak torque here. This table is kind of screwy. I wouldn't leave that table like that. I would go through here and smooth it out a little bit. You can interpolate with these, make it a little smoother. And then you can also come down into here and do something like that. Anyways, you don't want to put a bunch of torque numbers high down here. You would want to set these, because I've seen it do weird things, like the transmission might shift a little weird if you start putting high torque numbers in here. So, put the high torque numbers when the motor spun up to 3,000 and, 90 mm3 down. Come all the way down. Yep. Okay, so peak torque versus RPM, same thing. You want to max these out at 2800. You don't want to put them down here. I think I've tried that before, and the transmission shifts a little weird or something. So don't do that. Already went there. Your fuel pressure. I leave these alone unless you're going to run LBZ regulator, and you would just use their values for, you know, the LBZ. You would go into a tune file that was for an LBZ and use their numbers in here if you were going to use their regulator, pretty much. And this is your fuel pressure table. I don't touch this table at all. I think it works just fine. You know, some people like to raise these to 170, 175, whatever. I just leave it stock. I've made 525 horsepower with the stock fuel map, stock injectors, stock pump, stock turbo, everything, just lift pump with this. So there's no reason to touch it, in my opinion. EGR, if it's California, you could have an EGR. Other than that, you're not going to have one. Your rev limiter, obviously, you want to keep it enabled. These engines can take around 4,200 RPMs. You can set these up to 42, but obviously, you know, the transmission shifts at 3,200 RPMs in a stock one, and the only reason to raise these even is if you have a big, you know, twin turbos or a big single with a lot of fuel, that you can rev the engine to 4,200, because, you know, obviously otherwise there's no point. Max engine, this is the PTO on the side. Don't need to mess with any of that. And then this is the TCM. So if you want to raise that rev limiter here to 42, you probably should always rev it here, even put this at like 43 or 44 if you're going to rev it that high. And then we have the diagnose the DDTs. So you can turn these on or off or whatever you got to do. Obviously, usually you shouldn't have to turn any of these off. The only one that I usually see is an overboost code. If you're obviously got a turbo, or if you're tricking the wastegate somehow, it'll trigger a overboost code. Let's see, yeah, I don't touch any of these. Shouldn't have to touch any of this stuff at all. Never touched any of this with no issues. Then you got fuel system. So 98 liters tank in it. You know, I'll show you the tank size, blah blah. Your theft. So this is your VATS, your security system. So if you're gonna, I turn this off on all the trucks that I do. So if anybody ever wanted to put this ECU in a different vehicle, you can just take it right out and put it in, you know, 2003 and 2004 model LB7. The 2001 and 2002 were a little weird. The 2001 had a weird operating system in it, so some people will change into a 2001. Anyways, we'll talk about that later on in a different lesson. Your speedometer, these have 373 gears in them. You have a calculator here, so if you wanted to, you know, change your tire size, you can go in here and change, put your tire in, do all that, and then hit apply. And then close it. These shift points are made for like a 4L60 or something. This is not for the Allison transmission. So don't really mess with any of this stuff over here. Just mess with the speedo calculator. As far as that stuff, that should be pretty much it through this area. And then we'll go up into here. Desired boost level. This can be maxed out, you know, wide open throttle. Obviously 3,000 or 28 above, you can max this out to 255 if you'd like. This is throttle based injection again. This table is more of a limiting table, I feel like, than anything. Some people don't even go over 100 down here. I don't know. Somebody was messing with this tune. So I don't know why that might even, I don't think this is factory, but anyways, I I just leave that alone for now. You don't need to play with that. Or you can, if you are going to play with it, then just run 100 down here. Don't go over 100. Main injection pulse. This has 2,500 microseconds in it. If it'll reach 100 mm3, that's pretty healthy. I stop at like 2,900 on a max ever tune. Some people go to 32, 35. I stop at 3,000 max. I don't ever go above that. And sometimes it won't hit 100, so you'll have to go into 90 Mark II. You have to put 25 in these areas here to meet the US pulse width you're looking for. And then I kind of make this the same, your pilot is the same. And then really you can only adjust, I don't know why it's not going, there we go. You can only adjust this table, C and all of these. You can do A, B, and C, and the engine cal, we were already in there once. Yeah, so you can adjust this one and this one here, and you can only adjust C and the tuning, so if you're at low altitude, this is where you're going to be. So if you're at high altitude or mid altitude, you'll have to tune this table and just use the one table for all your tunes, because it'll still log base B, and if you're in really high altitude, it's just going to log A for all of your tunes. 5, 1 through 5 on the switch. So what else do I want to go over? Oh, the parameters. These voltages, don't ever change these voltage values. Just leave them factory. Let's see what we got in this one. 2200. Yeah. See if we got a decent timing table down here or not. Yeah, so you can just raise these up a little bit, these things, 25 degrees usually is where I stop, 25, 26. Add your timing from 28. I usually go from like 90 or 95 here, and then I would add, if you're building a max ever to 25 or 26 degrees, and then adjust accordingly. This is a stock timing table. There's really no reason to touch any of this. This is modified too. This is just a little bit more from factory. I think this is probably an 80 horse tune, 1900 US. This is good for, if you don't want to knock the transmission out of your truck. Around 2000, I feel like the stock transmission will limp. I've seen people run like 2200, but I feel like they're going in and they're playing with this table to enable some torque limiting stuff to not have it, limp the trans. But anyways, it's 1900, 9 degrees of timing. Yeah, that's super soft. But this is an awesome toe tune. I've ran this on my truck. This is a factory table, and have ran this on my truck wide open throttle going up a really steep hill, and not ever seeing over like 1100 or 1200 EGTs. This tune is super. This map is really good. GM did a really good job on these timing maps. Anyways, we'll go back to 1 and see how much timing's in here. So there's 14 degrees in here. Like I said, these are just like basic tunes. I think 14 degrees, and I think this is 2500. Yeah, this thing would still get down pretty good. This is probably 150, 125 horse tune, 125 horse tune. You don't need a lot of timing. You can if you want. Like I said, some people are running 20. 20 is a pretty decent number. You can run just 15, 12. You're going to have to log the truck or have a dyno to really, know where you're at. But I know that this tune made 420 to the tire, 440, something like that, and 830 or 40 foot-pounds. So you don't need a shitload of timing. All timing's doing is, hurting your engine. You know, these tuners will tell you that, or if you buy tuning, you know, max effort tunings, yeah. You know, if you're trying to get every little drop of horsepower out of these things, then, you know, you're going to have to run 25 degrees and 3,000 US in the pulse width to get the thing to, you know, make the power you're looking for. But, yeah, these are valet mode. So you can just enable this, and then you have to set these parameters to enable, and then you have a RPM max and minimum. So if you wanted to set one of your switches, you wanted to enable this, you could use this. You know, you could set these down real low. Like if you wanted somebody driving your truck and you didn't want it to make any power, you know, obviously you could set it way down. You know, and it's coolant max. There's no actual like RPM or speed limit is what I'm saying, but you could still mess around and get the thing to drive pretty slow, I think. Boost limit, here we go. So I think if you set this real low, that the boost wouldn't go up very far, you know. The truck wouldn't have a lot of power. So you can use that if you'd like. I think some people actually use it for nitrous control too sometimes. But yeah, that's it for this lesson.